Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thanks for joining me. Happy Friday. I hope you guys are doing well. We are here. We're live on the channel, so if you can see me, give me a thumbs up, like the stream, and drop me a hello and let me know where you're tuning in from in the chat. It would be great to hear from you guys. We're going to be doing live readings this evening on the channel. We're going to be doing some tarot readings and talking to you guys about what you got going on. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm a Western astrologer and I also work with the Sabian symbols as well as tarot to better understand what's going on in the cosmos. You guys can get a reading by scanning the QR code right up here. If you scan that QR code, it's going to take you to my PayPal. We are doing 1 and 3 card readings, so you can choose $20 for 1 card reading, $40 for a 3 card spread. And I'm excited to talk to you about what you got going on. I'm having a little bit of like a delay with my chat, but I can see some people that are in here. Let's see, who do we have? I know we have a number of level 3 people. MK, Deanna, Christine, Sharon, Rosary. What's up, guys? It's nice to hear from you. Hey, Dorothy, Takaya. Hey, Astrid. David is here. Victoria's here. Happy Friday, guys. I hope you guys are doing well. What's up, Nancy? I will add you to my list as well. Let me put you on here. Yeah, we have all the level 3 people here tonight. And by the way, it's the last Friday before the end of the month. So if you're a level 3 subscriber, you want to cash in on your reading, you can do so. Just let me know. We'll take you guys first. And if you guys want to sign up, scan the QR code right up here. It'll take you to my PayPal so we can get you kind of set up for a reading. We're going to do 1 and 3 card readings. We'll leave the QR code up for a little bit and the queue open. So if you guys want to jump in, you can. We've got about like 10 or so people who are already on the list. All right, so let's see, who do we have first? So we're going to do, I'll call your guys' name a couple people at a time just to let you know if you're on deck. So we'll do MK, Deanna, and Christine. You guys are all on deck. But I got everybody else, and I'll do like a full run through and let you guys know what's happening. Deanna says, made it through the Scorpio moon. Ugh, it was right on my Mars. So it was really, last week was a lot for me. So I'm glad to be back and being able to do a little bit of a longer live this evening for you guys. All right, so let's just jump right into it with MK. She is a level 3 member, sent me an email. Thank you for your request. MK says, I'd like to know what may be triggering my boss and or what we're triggering in each other. I'm an Aquarius rising, Scorpio sun, Virgo moon, and my boss is a Leo rising, Cancer sun, Aries moon. So just some food for thought. You guys have opposing risings, so there is going to be this sense of coming at things from 2 different directions. And as an Aquarius rising with Scorpio sun, you had that full moon in your 10th house, which represented some kind of power struggle going on with a boss. And for all Leo risings, like your boss, there's so much changing and so much buildup happening in the 10th house of career that it does represent like this major changing, rearranging, having to work with people, and it being a little frustrating. So let's see what the cards say. What's kind of going on for you guys here? So in terms of what we need to know about your dynamic, 5 of Swords, 4 of Coins, and the King of Cups. So the good news is that the end of the spread, with the King of Cups coming up, it does seem to kind of indicate like you can smooth it over, like you guys can learn to kind of better manage your emotions and find ways to kind of like, you know, mend the working dynamic in a very mature kind of responsible way. So that's good. 5 of Swords made me laugh a little bit because this is like this scene where you see this guy and he's picking up swords after there was like a bit of like a conflict or a fight. And swords are about communication, intellect, ideas, knowledge. It is also like a masculine energy. So it can talk about these 2 masculine energies, which you guys both have masculine rising signs, right? One's ruled by Uranus, one's ruled by the sun, and they're both fixed. So they are stubborn. They can be really fixated in how they want to do things. I think this is about like learning to let conflict be a thing and like not continuing to like perpetuate and kind of like ruffle each other's feathers. And with this card, you see that like he's standing there holding the swords and people are like, peace out. They're like walking away and they're not entertaining the idea of having any other conflict. It's about learning to drop the conflict at the door, not carrying it into like the next day or the next meeting. It can also be where you guys are learning to agree to disagree, or not always seeing eye to eye, but finding ways to deal with things diplomatically and learning how to diffuse situations rather than allowing it to kind of develop and like fester. Four of Coins coming up in the center position also talks about being in a situation where both of you guys may be really rigid when it comes to how you're seeing things physically, financially at work, how you guys like things. A lot of this can be about getting outside of your comfort zone. There can be disputes over budgeting with Four of Coins. Somebody not willing to give, or not being generous, or not being I would say like appreciative of like what other people are kind of like bringing to the table. So as an Aquarius rising, you know, I think about how, you know, Pluto's in your sign. Obviously, Pluto is coming into a square at some point with your sun in Scorpio. And this is going to be about learning how to identify yourself outside of what's going on at work, and eventually breaking free from power struggles where you're used to having to be the boss, or somebody telling you what to do, or there being some kind of sense of, you know, people dictating things, and like, you know, re-identifying out in the world with who you are. Pluto ruling your 10th house in the first is going to be about being like, I don't need to control things anymore. And so much of what's going on is about focusing more on, you know, the lower half of your chart with home and family and resources. And then when I think about your boss, with that Leo rising, where all of the planets are kind of moving to the top part of the chart, which is a natural kind of getting in line, being a leader, managing things type of vibe. I'm not telling you to back down. I just feel like a lot of this can be about like letting go of old, outdated ways of managing or handling your job, and like learning to be like, you know what, I'm not getting paid enough for this. Or there may be situations where you're like, this is not my responsibility, and, you know, I am sticking to what my responsibility is, and I'm going to be allowing, you know, my boss to kind of delegate tasks to other people, and I'm staying in my lane. And ultimately, I do feel like you're going to be able to kind of smooth this over, because the King of Cups is about managing something in a very like mature way, and like it being like water under the bridge, and being able to kind of maintain more harmony when it comes to a working relationship. Timing wise, the Four of Coins can talk about over the next 4 months. Usually coins represent months, so it can be something that you're working on basically like over that time period before finally getting to a point where, you know, you guys are learning how to respect each other too. There may be things where it's like, okay, you know, I'm going to let the boss lead, and then in certain situations, if I have something I need to do, I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to be putting myself in a position of trying to, you know, help them do their things. I'm staying in my own lane, and developing more of like a mutual respect for one another can kind of come from this as well, right? So I hope that that's helpful for you. I'm reading all the comments about Friday and how it's a Venus day. People are eating their cake and hanging out in robes. I love that. You guys are doing your Taurus-y things. All right, so we're gonna do Diana, and then Christine and Sharon. Let's take a look. So Diana says, where is she? Did you pop in at the top? Let's see. I gotta remove this message so I can see something. There we go. Cashing in at 7:55 p.m. Okay, so she says, love and esoteric side business going well. Will love lead to a deeper commitment? Will side hustle take off and be my main hustle? So let's see. Is there more commitment coming with relationships and also with work? You're welcome, MK. So what can we see about Diana's commitments in terms of relationships and also work? Are we going to see growth there? Is there going to be a deeper level of commitment? Ooh, a card flipped over. So when a card flips over, I always read it. You got Four of Swords. So this can be basically saying like, let the situation simmer, let it chill, let things be. There's no need to really kind of do anything right now. Like, see how it goes. And also, like, sometimes the best action is no action at all. Not being the person who's feeling like you're pushing something, like letting things kind of come to fruition on their own. All right. So these are the cards that I get for you, which is cool that you got the Hermit card. Okay. Because the Hermit card is very similar to the Four of Swords. It's being like, this is a moment of reflecting. It's not about taking action. It's turning inward and being like, is this healthy for me? Is this best for me? Is this my purpose? Is this my path? really good things. So when somebody says to me like, am I going to, get the commitment? Is it going to develop into something long-term? And I get the Ace of Coins. The Ace of Pentacles is something you can rely on, something you can hold on to. When somebody says, am I going to start to see my side hustle kind of pay off? Or am I going to be able to, make this productive? Am I going to be able to bring more in? Ace of Pentacles is a really good, kind of card to have, because it's saying, yes, there is abundance that's in, in your future, that you're going to find that it's going to become a more lucrative business. So kind of, started with the ending before I got into the reading, but that's what I see. The Queen of Swords is interesting because I know you're Leo rising, Capricorn sun, but this is the element of air. So whether this is about you working with somebody, like working with a mentor or a teacher, maybe getting a reading, maybe you're talking to a friend. It can be somebody who's like an air element. So like a Libra or an Aquarius or a Gemini can kind of come into your life that you can be having this conversation with. And it can be something like, well, how do I know? How do I know that I can rely on this? Or how can I feel more secure? Or this can be about you embodying that energy of the Queen of Swords and being very direct and matter of fact and to the point about what you want. Telling people, this is what I want. Do you want to do this? I'm looking for this next step in the relationship. Are you with me? Can we talk about it? But it can also mean that in a professional sense, the Queen of Swords is somebody who's teaching and showing and somebody who is even like instructing. So it's saying that there is like this sense of leveling up in that energy in your life. The Hermit card is saying internally, deep down, after doing some soul searching or some, reevaluating, there is this sense that's like, yes, I can't give this up. I really love doing this, and this is my path. So staying committed to that, mentally, but also in a sense of talking about it, writing about it, manifesting it, and sharing it with other people. The Ace of Pentacles is saying that, if you're truly dedicated to these things, whether it's a relationship or career move, ultimately it's going to lead you to saying it's got to be this or better. Right? So you're not willing to kind of sacrifice. You're not willing to kind of lower your standards or even your expectations. And you're giving it what appears to be the better part of like the next year. Ace of Pentacles can be 1 year. Timing wise though, this is interesting because it's saying right now, I'm not going to say you're not making moves, but like I'm going to tell you and anybody else who's listening, May is going to be a better month. Okay. So when we see like Mars go into Aries, that's when we start taking initiative. When we start seeing, Venus get into Taurus, that's when we're going to be feeling like we have more opportunity for pleasure and money and abundance. There's a sweet spot right before the new moon in Gemini where we see some trines between Jupiter and Pluto. And that's like great election periods to be like, okay, and now it starts now, or now I'm committing to this relationship more seriously now, or this job, whatever. But it looks like especially the kind of check-in point or the turning point is going to be right around Virgo season, which isn't very far away. That's basically 3-4 months away. So that's going to be the first check-in point. I really feel like this is going to be about you being like, can I trust this? Like making this segue, especially in terms of like healing work or teaching work or, anything revolving around the esoteric studies. Like it's you going, can I make a living doing this by then? And then there is this reevaluation. These are not relationship-y cards, but still this is about commitment. This is about internal knowing, having those conversations so you feel more secure. But I could also see this as a time where you are also saying to yourself, like, of course I want to have, more commitment in a relationship. And of course I want to have, more connection to another person. But also at the end of the day, I'm building something so I know that I can stand on my own 2 feet. I can do it myself. So I don't feel like I have to be reliant on another person. Leo risings have so much changing right now for a career with the 10th house transits, but also with the relationships because, Jupiter and Uranus are meeting. So new partnerships and mergers and sudden opportunities for growth has been seeded. Likely you will see more of that kind of transpire literally over the next year. You'll start to really see it in about 6 months time as we get into Scorpio season, but really next spring seems to be the time when all of these things are a little bit more so solid and there could be some like long-term commitment going on. Great cards, but internally the Queen of Swords with the Hermit card, she already knows the answer. She's like, I know that this is it. It's just like, do I need to be pursuing it right now? No, you just need to kind of let things simmer. Anyway, I hope that that's helpful. And I'm excited for you with all your travels and the stuff that you're doing. That's so wonderful. All right, so we have got Christine, Sharon, and then Rosary. Thank you guys for your patience. I appreciate it. Christine says, hey, I haven't got my monthly reading, so I better do it before I miss it. Here's my info, 72680. My income went down after the last year. Will it improve? How will business go over the next 6 months? And what advice do you have for me? I am self-employed. Well, good on you for being self-employed. That is not an easy thing to do. So let's see what the cards say. Are we going to see some kind of growth happen? Is business going to improve over the next 6 months? What is the finances looking at or looking like as somebody who's self-employed? Okay, so you're Sagittarius. No, excuse me, not a Sagittarius. You're a Scorpio, 1028. One thing that I think about just as a Scorpio, you know, Saturn in your 5th house to your sun is definitely about some kind of trial and error period when it comes to self-employment. Eclipses in Aries, Mars going into Aries, there's going to be a lot of work to do. Okay, so I really feel like a lot of Scorpio risings or Scorpio suns, it's going to be less about whether or not there is work, more about are you working too much? Okay, and you're a Scorpio rising. Okay, so kind of doubly, are you working too much? Are you overworking? Are you creating a new like kind of flow, like a new schedule, you know, or do you need a new space that you're working from? Mars going through your 6th house is going to be wonderful because it needs something to kind of work on. These cards are very interesting. I'm curious what happened around the solar eclipse, because the Emperor and the Moon card is talking about the lunation that we had in Aries. Was there a sense of you being like, okay, now I'm going to make some kind of significant change? All right, Scorpio rising, Leo sun. Okay, so your sun's in the 10th house. Just a couple dates I'm going to throw at you really quick. You can give me a response about what happened with the eclipse, because this is talking about a new partnership emerging. Mars is going to go retrograde at the end of the year, okay, in December. I know it's like more than 6 months away, but just stay with me. As a Scorpio rising, that's your chart ruler. So when Mars goes retrograde in your career zone and it dips into your 9th house, you're going to find that pretty much December through like March is going to be about either changing directions with your career. It can be about some kind of training and certification with your career. You know, 9th house can be about education, but it can also be about marketing and how you're learning how to market yourself more and kind of promote yourself more in some way. The good news is like with the Emperor card, because this is the card that deals with Mars, it does deal with Aries. It is about being a boss. It is being about kind of like an entrepreneur, and it's a more masculine energy. So it's about channeling that. And I think that, you know, anytime you have planets that are transiting your 6th house, it can be kind of agitating because it quincunx, it inconjuncts your ascendant. And Scorpio risings, you know, they should be really good at change, but sometimes they resist it. So it may mean that you're resisting making changes to your day-to-day routine or your schedule or how you're working or who you're working with, or whether or not, you know, you need to be hiring people to kind of help you with your tasks. This is talking about kind of really stepping into the position of like being a boss, right? And like delegating tasks and also like handling things in like a very successful way. The reason why I asked about the eclipse is because that represents Aries, and then the Moon card comes up. So there it is talking about what's happened in this most recent lunar cycle has been a total reworking in terms of how it looks, how you're looking at productivity, health, and also your purpose, because 6th house can be about service. 2 of Cups is coming up. So it is saying, yes, customers, clients, right? People you can be working with, but partnerships, working partnerships, and somebody who may be coming in as a result of this. As a Scorpio rising, Jupiter and Uranus in your 7th house, that's great for your marketplace, especially because Jupiter rules money. So you don't see it yet, but there are people who are going to be looking for what services or what products that you're going to be offering. So a lot of this is about putting money into promoting that, expanding your brand. It could be marketing yourself. It could mean that you're working with business partners and other people who are going to be helping you kind of develop more visibility. Really watch what happens in the next month, because the next month is the real glow up that happens after like the April kind of like catastrophes that have been happening. That's when we start to see the physical manifestation. But still, a Mercury retrograde in August in your 10th house, a Mars retrograde in, you know, in Leo in December into the new year. Lots of reworking. Well, who am I? What is my status? What kind of work am I doing? You know, what is my purpose? And being that your sun is in Leo, it's very much about you. Am I the star? Am I, you know, getting enough recognition? Am I putting enough of what I'm creating out there? Am I being seen enough? So it's going to be actually more about putting yourself in the spotlight more than anything. And I would say watch for collaborations, knowing your astrology, but the fact that the 2 of Cups is coming up is saying people who you can kind of work with, you know. So it does look positive. Good luck with that. Lots of success with your work. The next 6 months looks like you're going to have what people want. We have Sharon, Rosary, and then Nancy. All right, so let's see what Sharon has to say. Sharon says, hey, I'd like to use my monthly reading. Okay, 10/28/77. South Africa, I'd like to get some insight into my career. Oh, I was looking at the wrong birthday. Sorry about that, Christine. All right, so for you, obviously, you're the Scorpio, born in 77. So you want to know about getting some insight into your career. You love your job, and you see the opportunity to move up and advance your career, and you want to know what's going to happen. So let's take a look. All right, so this is for you. Sharon says, I'm a Taurus rising. Whoa, look at these cards. Empress, King of Pentacles, a 10 of Coins. I'm loving all of this like boss energy for everybody in regards to their career. It's wonderful, especially I love it when women are pulling kings and pulling the Emperor. It's pretty cool. So you have the Empress, the King of Pentacles, and the 10 of Coins. Okay, so how do I see this? Well, basically, the Empress is about nurturing and growing something and tending to something and like really showing up and being in this position of really loving what you're doing. If you're in something involving finances or the arts or anything connecting to beauty, femininity, Venus things, right? It could be food, it could be money, resources, design, whatever. It will be more so emphasized, basically. This can also be you as the Empress, where you're kind of feeling like you're finally stepping into this position where you're like, I can literally create or grow whatever it is that I want. This can also be a period where people are seeing you as somebody who is very, easy to get along with, somebody who is harmonious when it comes to working dynamics, somebody who is helping other people, somebody who is helping build other people up as well. So it's really good for your reputation and how people are seeing you, right? Taurus rising, goddess of Venus. Then we have the King of Pentacles in the right now position. So this can represent, a boss, a superior, a manager, because King of Pentacles can be somebody who's like managing these things. But it can also be you embodying this energy of being like, yeah, I'm leveling up. Now, could there be an offer coming? Yes, I think so, especially with the 10 of Coins coming up. But the King of Coins could also be an earth sign like a Taurus, a Capricorn, a Virgo, somebody who's coming in, who's saying like, look, we've got a position for you. Something is getting ready to open up. Would you be interested? Let's talk about it. It's interesting for Taurus risings though, because all the planets moving through Taurus are kind of squaring and coming into, a square basically with your 10th house, which is about this new dynamic with a group of people or a new team or some kind of, turning of the chapters. So you're doing something new and wanting to define yourself outside of what you're doing career-wise. So I think what's interesting is that the position that's being offered to you, you may have more freedom, you may have more personal authority, you may be able to be more creative with the position that is kind of coming up or becoming available. I don't know what started happening around March. This is a card that usually deals with that. So that timeline seems like since then there's been some kind of development in kind of propping you up and getting you ready to potentially accept a new position. King of Pentacles is the most capable, like the most experienced, the most professional. And it's definitely about like really managing things and being capable of being able to manage things at kind of like a higher level. Then the 10 of Coins talks about financial security, long-term planning, legacy. These are cards where, we do talk about taking a job that gives you room to kind of build and stay at for a long period of time, or wanting to stay in a position because you're, kind of growing within the company and they're reinvesting in you. This is also a card that talks about like long-term financial goals and getting positions where you're like, okay, this is actually going to be paying me a salary where I feel like I can start planning my life and I, have a 401k or better benefits, or I can be looking at, saving money for down payment for a house, or, creating the lifestyle that you would want for some kind of like long-term planning. It does talk about timing though, that, it can be something that's playing out over this year. There's no defined timeline, but like that King of Pentacles can be the beginning process of talking about where things may be towards the end of the year, and that turning point may really be opening up the door, making it possible for you to have more. I do know, just as like a Taurus rising, Jupiter's getting ready to go into your second house. So that's going to be an opportunity to make more money or bring in a second line of income or be offered a second position. So it's coming. I really feel like probably where you're going to see some of the biggest things happening is going to be around the solar eclipse in October. 10 of Coins, the 10th month of the year. I think about in October when we're going to have this eclipse, it's going to be, in Libra, which for Taurus rising is a solar eclipse in your 6th house. I happen to remember, because I'm a psycho, that eclipse is going to have a Mercury Cazimi. And Mercury rules your 2nd house of money. So likely you're going to be finding that maybe there's talk about moving up in position or there being, a sense of you maybe, getting a review or something. And then the results are coming around the time of that eclipse. And then there could be a pretty significant change at work. So I see it working. I also see you being in like the good graces of, people who are superior to you and like they're watching you and seeing you as what you're doing and maybe even preparing you to kind of take on some of these new, roles where there's more responsibility. But I see it being extremely beneficial for you over this next year. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Good reading, good reading. Just playing catch up here. Victoria, I will add you to my list. And we will be taking, let's see, who are we going to have next? Rosary, Nancy, and then Victoria. Let me go back to Christine. She says, I've been getting productive again from a long period of feeling low and unproductive. I have Mars in the 12th. Routines are hard. I'm learning how to make use of social media marketing. Love it. Daniela, thank you. I got your ad here. I'll give you guys an updated list in just a second. The QR code is still active if you guys want to get in the queue. Victoria's question. All right, let's take a look. I am a psycho. I have like a memory like an elephant. Like I can't remember like simple passwords, but I can be like, oh yeah, I remember this thing that's happening like a year from now. It's like crazy. Just how my brain works. All right, so let's take Rosary and then we'll do Nancy and Victoria and then I will move on to the list of people who are in the queue. So thank you guys for your patience. All right, so let's go and find Rosary. Where was that comment? You're welcome, Sharon. And is Nancy on there too? Yeah. Scrub guy. Okay, I'll make a mental note of that. There we go. Rosary says, hello from Canada. I'm looking for your question. Did you have one? There it is. I'd like to get my member reading March 17th, 92 in the Philippines. I'm a Gemini rising here and I'm excited for the month of May. Anything I need to know? Yeah, Jupiter's moving into your sign. So that's really exciting. Definitely good for positivity, optimism, relationships. Good news also for things involving career as well, because Jupiter rules your 10th house of career, your 7th house of relationships. So a lot of Geminis are going to be really stoked to see this transit come through. But let's see what the cards say about the month of May for you. In this order, 10 of Swords, 10 of Swords, Knight of Cups, King of Wands. So I don't know what your sun sign is, but I will just say this. For those of you guys who are Gemini risings, and it really works like this for all sun signs, like the 2, 3, 4 weeks leading up to your birthday, or when the planets are going through your 12th house, there is a completion, right? Things are completing, they're turning over. And as we're moving from, Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, all being in your 12th house in Taurus, going into your first house, there is a sense of like having to complete something, okay? And so Taurus can be finances, money matters, self-esteem issues, security issues, changes revolving around the way that you look at sleep, rest, even downtime or leisure. And the 12th house is like subconscious, so it can be things that are happening when we're sleeping in our dreams. It can also be about things that we're just kind of like releasing subconsciously and we can feel a little squirrely. So I preface that by letting you know, like this 10 of Swords kind of makes sense to me because, 10s are completions. It's being like, okay, that's done, that's over. And Mercury will go through this house as well. So there can be a sense of you making a conscious decision and kind of reevaluating prior to planets coming into Gemini the second half of May. What am I letting go of? What am I leaving behind? What am I done with? And Then we're going to have the Knight of Cups, which can be an indication that there is good news on the horizon pertaining to relationships and partnerships. So it's interesting that, Jupiter rules your 7th house of relationships. It's going to cross your ascendant. You can literally attract people to you. You can travel more, right? So nights can be about traveling and movement. This can be about more positive shifts in your emotions and being more optimistic about where you see your life going and being a little bit more adventurous, being a little bit more romantic. I think Jupiter going through your sign is going to also be about the relationship with yourself. So it can be about getting in touch with your emotions, your feelings, and being a little bit more intuitive as well. But I think you're getting that now with Jupiter and Uranus in your 12th house. Watch for water signs. So Pisces, Cancer, Scorpios can kind of come in. Certainly, the Knight of Cups is a knight in shining armor, very romantic and kind of attractive, and they can be flirty and fun. So it can talk about more offers coming your way in terms of like partnerships or clients or like romantic relationships. And then the King of Wands comes up. So it is another court card, which could be yet another person. But I really feel like this is about you going, I'm actually feeling like I need to kind of cut loose. Like I'm getting a little restless. I need to go somewhere. I need to do something, or I need to create. So the Knight of Wands can be about fire signs. So it can be about, Leos, Aries, and Sagittariuses. So it can be indicating or hinting that there is a potential meeting that's coming from somebody who is of the fire element, because Jupiter's connected with Sag. It could be Sagittarius that you're going to connect with. But it can also be that you're feeling more creative and you're wanderlust and you're wanting to get out there and do things, because Jupiter in the 1st house, it will make you want to do that. It'll also, I think, have impacts in terms of like creativity. So I think about Jupiter's connection to your 10th house of career and reputation. You might be feeling a little bit more optimistic about making some changes to your career or your status. Maybe you're getting more visibility. Certainly if you're involved in Pisces kind of industries, so film, photography, working behind the scenes, working in hospitals, nonprofits, education, spiritual stuff, you will see some kind of increased growth and you'll get more visibility for what you're doing. But the other way of looking at this is that it can be kind of creating end of some phase, and there's a lot of emotional shifts that are happening, and in turn you're bringing in people who are going to help you with the next chapter. So when planets go through the 1st house, there's like this new beginning, basically. And somebody said all mutables. It's all, we're going to see a lot of mutables this year. Jupiter is going to be in Gemini, Saturn's going to be in Pisces, Neptune's going to be in Pisces. We're going to see a Mercury retrograde that's going to start in Virgo. So kind of the theme of the 2nd half of the year is like, where are we open to making change? Where can we learn differently, communicate differently, and make some changes in these departments? Be super open to the new beginnings. But in order to get to that, it looks like something is kind of filtering out and it's completing. Okay. Hopefully that is helpful for you, Rosary. We've got Nancy and then Victoria. Nancy was asking about the scrub guy. Is that how you said that? Let's see. Where was that? She says, can I get a reading? Okay, thank you. My question is, scrub guy, ready for a relationship. I hope you mean he wears scrubs, that he's not a scrub. Don't make me play the TLC song for you. All right, let's take a look. So is Mr. Scrubs, is he ready? I would like to be excluded from the mutable narrative. All right, so what does it look like with Nancy and Scrubs? Is he a nurse? What does he do? Why is he wearing scrubs? I have so many questions. Ooh, that's kind of a sexy connection. Yes, he wears scrubs at the gym. So we've got King of Cups, the Death card, and the Fool. So we've got 2 majors here. I'm not afraid of the Death card in the current position with the King of Cups. I wonder almost if he's like the Scorpio vibes, or like big like water element, or kind of like Plutonian type of chart, kind of, intense and kind of sexy and passionate. King of Cups does talk about an emotional connection. So it's somebody who's like, I'm ready to connect, but it can be intense because the Death card is talking about going through some kind of change or transformation. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands, but it's making things happen. So sorry about the sparkles and the confetti. I'm gonna figure out what it is. Is it something? Am I doing something? I don't know. But basically, like the King of Cups talks about that emotional development, and the Death card is saying like ready for a change. The Death card can be about the ending of one phase and the beginning of something new, which is kind of funny that the Fool card comes up. So it almost makes me feel like maybe this person is now more so ready to being able to like really connect in like a much more personal way. This can also talk about, you know, with the Death card and the Fool, that certain cycles are ending for him, and that, you know, maybe he's overcoming any fears that he's been having about connecting and being vulnerable. Maybe this talks about him being now in a situation where he's let go of like old things that have been kind of hanging him up or kind of keeping him from feeling like he can explore kind of like a relationship or getting to know another person. The Fool card is about like letting go of any sense of like doubt and not feeling as if you're being held back. It's like, here goes nothing, I'm just going to give it a shot. So I'm wondering, is this like a back and forth that you're having where you have yet to kind of like reach out to one another or have more than just kind of like an initial like, hey, how's it going? Like, you know, is the time coming where you guys are going to have like a breakthrough and be like, you know, have a real conversation or hang out outside of the gym, or there is going to be, you know, kind of taking things to the next phase? That's just like, let's exchange numbers. Because something about this makes me feel like there's about to be a, okay, screw it, here goes nothing, you know, type of like situation. I really think that this is going to be something that's going to be happening more so when we start seeing conjunctions to Uranus. And that's pretty soon. That's in the next month. You know, we're going to see Mercury conjunct Uranus, Sun conjunct Uranus, Venus conjunct Uranus. That's all going to be happening in the month of May. So watch for those changes. I do feel like whether it's you or it's him, although it's, I think, more likely to be him, that's going to suddenly be like, hey, I'm ready for a connection. Like, what's up? That may be kind of surprising and out of the blue. And it may seem very different than your guys' typical kind of dynamic. She says, he just stares at me while I work out and stretch. Okay, well, somebody's, I think, going to finally kind of reach the, work up the nerve to be like, hey, what's up? What's going on? And it's funny because I feel like the King of Cups and the Death card is like, you know, kind of like testing the waters and a little unsure and a little kind of like standoffish, but like watching you, showing some interest. But then it could be like this moment where you connect and somebody's like, hey, and it's like easy. And it's like, it's just smooth sailing. It's not weird. It's not uncomfortable. You have an exchange and somebody's just like, you want to hang out? And you're like, yeah, you know, and then it's like, oh my God, why was I like so freaked out about talking to this person? You know, like there can be this sense of like relief with the Fool card coming up. That's just like, okay, that wasn't so difficult. You know, that wasn't so hard. I don't know why I was so afraid of connecting with that person. But there's definitely an interest there with the King of Cups and the Death card. I wonder if he's got like some Scorpio or some like Pluto stuff in the first house, because there is definitely like an intense kind of like, he wants you to know that he's interested, but nobody's kind of made the move yet. So throw him some signals, you know, tell him to come and steal a base or something. So that way he at least knows that you're open to it. And if you have a mutual friend, even better. I mean, I wonder if the King of Cups can be somebody who's like, you know, kind of running between the two of you guys and kind of testing waters and seeing if there's a connection. But I say, yeah, I think the Fool card is just like, why not? Like, why not talk to him? What do I have to lose? You know? But I definitely see that window of opportunity opening for you. Victoria says, make eye contact and lick your lips. The hashtag Venus and Aries moments. All the more reason with Venus and Aries to make the first move. She says, he's a good looking man. Oh my goodness. This is, we're having a commercial for you guys. That's hilarious. What does the card say? That was like a very like Miss Cleo like cutaway. That was hilarious. Please circle back and tell us how it goes. All right, so we have Victoria. It looks like also somebody else has snuck in here. Where was that comment? Diego, what's up? I would like to know if I can book a reading for someone else of our choosing. Yeah, you can do that if you wanna cash in for another person. Just let me know if you want to cash in on your monthly reading. Okay, so we're gonna take Victoria. Let's see what she says. My question, please. Advice about work-life balance and being a new yoga teacher. I'm starting training on my 41st birthday, Taurus 9th house. I feel body conscious. I need advice. I really like for you, like Pluto going into your 6th house as a Virgo rising, and there is this transformation of health and community and like workspace. Yeah, Jupiter, Uranus in your ninth house. You're learning, you're connecting the physical body with philosophy, and you're doing yoga. Awesome. The consciousness, the self-consciousness, okay, card jumped out, Two of Cups. The self-consciousness stems more from, I think, the retrograde in your eighth, the eclipse in your eighth of self-transformation. And the Mercury retrograde can very much be about, I'm going through these changes and I'm going to feel like more vulnerable and like I'm going to feel more exposed and like, you know, what does this mean for me? And like, what do I need to change about myself? And like, you know, there can be obviously a lot that's shifting for you energetically and emotionally when you get into doing more of that work, right? So it makes sense. The card that jumped out was the Two of Cups, which is interesting because that does make me feel like people are going to be receptive and wanting to hear what you have to offer, or they're accepting of you. And not just in like oh, they'll accept you. No, they're going to be like, I want to hear what she has to say. I want to learn from her. Or they're going to kind of see you as somebody who has something valuable to offer. So I don't see that being something that's like holding you back from connecting with other people. Obviously, if you're like, you know, working in the realm of health and fitness, like I get it. You're going to want to make sure that you're feeling in like tip-top shape. But remember that you're also working with people who are seeking, right? If you have students, you're going to have people who are, you know, just first getting into, you know, doing yoga. You're going to have people that have been doing it for a while, but they're really comfortable and like that community is like super cool. But for the most part, it's people who are seeking. So I don't really see them as being judgmental. I see them being as like, hey, you know, I'm interested. Please share with me. Very receptive. She says, 3rd week of yoga course, 10 hours yoga a week. It made me really use my breath more. I'm zen as fuck, but I need to make money. Pluto squared my Mars and natal Saturn needs lots of change. And remember that Pluto Mars is going to be the energy. Squares in general is Mars energy. So Pluto was saying, how do we move through anger, pain, frustration, whatever, and transformation, right? So I don't know where your Mars is, but Pluto Mars, I'm going through the same transit. It's not fun. But definitely I think it's a feeling of needing to release pressure. So also great that you're doing yoga, but it can also be that you get into like Kundalini, or you're looking at like other things that can be about working with like that Pluto energy to help kind of diffuse stuff if that's helpful. Anyway, the High Priestess was the second card that jumped out. I didn't pull that card. And so that's also talking about being in alignment. What I like about the High Priestess is she's not a card of action. She's a card of waiting and receiving and getting the message. So this can be about being like, okay, learning to kind of tune into your body and paying attention to what your body is telling you. What is your body saying to you right now? What needs to change or transform? What messages are you receiving? How is it through kind of getting more in alignment with your body? You're also noticing that your intuition is kicking in and you're feeling like more clear, right? In terms of the messages that you're receiving, or your intuition, or you know, just making decisions on a daily basis. She's also this all-knowing. So I think that this is about not just approaching it from a sense of being like, well, I just want to make money, and I don't think you are, but approaching it because you're like, I really feel like this is my path, and it helps me stay in alignment, and in turn, I can help other people do the same thing. And it may branch into other things, you know, healing work or other things that you're doing where you're kind of integrating other kind of practices into your body work. I think it's going to be really good for you in terms of your spiritual development. And so obviously, you know, breath can help ground the body. And I think it's about learning healthier ways to stay tethered to the body and still connected, right? Because other ways that we kind of get grounded is pain and weight and other things that are not so fun, right? Heavier emotions. So I think you're learning how to connect and find new ways to kind of stay grounded. 6 of Wands, being well received, celebrating. This can be a card of victory. This is about, you know, yes, finishing the program. Yes, getting to a point where you're feeling more confident, where people are recognizing you and celebrating you and coming together and like being around other people and being able to like celebrate your accomplishment. And like also I think spending time around the people who may also be going through the program and like staying connected in that sense and like celebrating your accomplishments with others. 6 of Wands can also talk about traveling. So it's like, you know, the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, it's seeded that, okay, I'm going and getting this certification. It's going to be about spirituality and philosophy and health, but is it paving the way for, well, I want to do retreats and I want to travel, or I want to go to other places and teach classes, or, you know, I'm thinking about doing something where, you know, I can go places where there's travelers, or I can go and, you know, join retreats, start retreats. It's going to get you thinking about going places and including other people. And yeah, I think it's going to be a really cool kind of journey for you. It seems that it's more about the path of self-acceptance and becoming comfortable with yourself and learning to trust yourself rather than being self-conscious and like doubting whether or not you're like good enough or capable enough. It's giving that, you know, to yourself, and like the process, I think, being like really beautiful, because it's going to make you feel like you have more freedom, especially when it comes to like your day-to-day routines. Okay. Really awesome reading for you guys. What's going on with this deck? It's so positive today. What? Usually it's a little spicy. All right, so we'll take Diego, and then I'll go through my list of who I'm going to be having, who's a part of the queue. We'll leave the queue open for like another 5 minutes. So if you guys want to get a reading, you want to jump in, scan the QR code. It will take you to the PayPal. We can do 1 card reading for $20, 3 cards for $40. Or you guys can support me as a full-time content creator. You can join my memberships. You get a reading once a month as a part of your membership. You can choose tarot or astrology, and we take level 3 members first, so you guys don't have to wait. Comes in really helpful when we have the full and new moons, because it moves so much faster. Anyway, so let's take a look. Self-trust. I love that, Victoria. All right, so we are going to take Diego, and Diego wanted to do a reading for someone else. So Diego says, hey, Candace, I just sent 40 through PayPal for Melissa for a 3-card reading. She's currently in the chat, and we'll ask her questions soon. I've already used my monthly. Okay, gotcha. So there's Melissa. What's up, Melissa? I'm coming in. What's coming in for me in the love department? I'm currently single. Okay, let's take a look. Are you sister? I noticed you guys have the same last name. I'm just wondering who you are in correlation. All right, so let's see for Melissa. What's going on in the love department? She's single. She wants to know what is in store for her. Diego was cool enough to spot a girl. All right, so what do we see coming in the relationship department? What's up, Enchanted? Oh, we're cousins. Okay, cool. Some kind of connection. You're very welcome. It really helped. I'm not living in where I was born. All right, well, I hope it was helpful anyway. I think I was looking at your lunar return. I can't remember what I was looking at. All right, so this is going to be for you, my dear Melissa. So we've got the Chariot card, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Ace of Wands. Now, that Ace of Pentacles, is that going to be the card of the evening? Maybe. The Chariot is a wonderful card. This talks about what's making those happen. I need to figure it out. Is it the spirit fingers? When you sit on my hands? The Chariot card is about forward motion and motivation and commitment and dedication towards something. Okay, this is a card that deals with Cancer. Obviously there's a Chariot here, so it can talk about traveling. It can talk about going somewhere. It can talk about your goals. Sometimes moving, relocations, road trips, things like that can kind of come up with this card. But this is the card of getting your ducks in a row, because you see that you've got 2 Sphinxes. Usually one's a little bit chaotic, the other one's a little bit slower. And there is a sense of being like, okay, what do I need to get in order? So like my Chariot is like stable and I'm able to get to my destination safely and I don't feel like things are chaotic. So it can say that you've been in the process of being like, I'm getting my life in order so I can feel more so capable and ready of being able to be in a relationship. This is where you've been. This is also for the sign of Cancer. So it can be talking about Cancer season. So we're getting into Cancer season, you know, the end of June going into July. We'll see like Mercury and Venus and the Sun go through there. It can also be talking about some connection maybe that's going to be happening close to home or close to family or through some kind of family, you know, trip or, you know, endeavor. You might meet someone. Ace of Pentacles is a physical card. This is about something you're going to receive. So generally this is like if you're asking about, you know, oh, am I going to get a job? Yes, you'll get the job. You know, is my health going to improve? Yes, it will improve. Because the earth element is something physical. Okay, so Diego says she's a Cancer rising. So your cousin's got you on this. So it can be saying, yes, something is coming for you, right? Something is coming for you very soon. If you're a Cancer rising, Saturn rules your 7th house and Saturn's going through your 9th. So it means if you're traveling, if you're going to school, if you're doing some kind of training, if you're hanging out with extended relatives, if you're, you know, venturing places, you're more likely to meet someone. You will see that there's going to be like an eclipse in the fall conjunct Saturn, so that can be a really prominent time. But the Ace of Pentacles is saying you're focusing on something tangible, something you can hold on to, and something that is going to provide you with some kind of long-term, sustainability. So there is a sense of being like, I'm not just looking for a fling. I want to find someone I can hold on to. I want to find someone I can like cherish and value. It can be talking about over the next month or so, this is where your head's at, right? We just had a full moon in Scorpio too. So for Cancer risings, there's been this sense of being like, I want to feel love again, but that square to Pluto has been vulnerability and being like, okay, I need to get outside of my comfort zone, or I need to be willing to kind of like get hurt again. And until you're willing to do that, you don't get to play the game. So I think now you're more so ready. That Ace of Wands is saying that there is this new energy that's coming in. Aces are always new beginnings. That not only are you physically ready, but like your spirit is ready, where you're like, okay, I feel like I'm calling somebody in now. You might be feeling more inclined to like be more active, to have more fun, to be more spontaneous, that you're focusing on joy and creativity and you're going out and you're doing things. This is about fire elements. As a Cancer rising, your 2nd house, 6th house, and your 10th house are all kind of getting triggered with some of the fire elements this year. And it's going to be about really kind of being in a situation where you're like, okay, I really need to get active. And whether that's traveling, creating, having fun, whatever, the Ace of Wands is saying, maybe it's going to be about taking up a new hobby. And like through that and investing a little bit of time or maybe even energy into this, or saying, I'm going to spring for going on a trip, or I'm going to create time to be able to go and like socialize with friends. You're going to see that something can actually start to materialize. You want to look at your natal chart and you want to look at your natal Saturn. Okay. Where is your natal Saturn? What house is it in? How is it being aspected? If you see another outer planet trining it or conjuncting it, or, if you happen to be 30 years of age, your 7th house year is being activated. If you are 28, your 5th house year is being activated, so on and so forth. Those annual perfections can give you a little bit more context to where you're at. I would really watch the summer because that's what's coming up here, but also knowing that you're a Cancer rising, it's like, man, Pluto's going back into Capricorn. So it's kind of this final kind of like reevaluation of relationships and clearing out the past and where things have been hard. And we're going to have a blue moon in Capricorn. So there will be 2 full moons this summer, one at the end of June, one at the end of July. One's going to be at 1 degrees of Capricorn. The other one's going to be at 29. What? So clearly the universe really wants us to kind of like clean house this summer when it comes to the Capricorn area of our chart. And so I think for you, it's going to be a breakthrough where it's not going to be about kind of getting stuck on what hasn't worked. It's like finally kind of making peace with things and being like, okay, now we're moving forward. Look forward to that and get active as much as you can, because likely that's going to help improve the likelihood of connecting with someone. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Thank you to Diego. Shout out to Diego for being so generous with that reading. All right, so I'm going to move to everybody else. And let me pull this up because PayPal wants to make sure that nothing fishy is going on. So let me get my typical passcode. Come on, PayPal. And then we will get going with the next batch of people. All right, so here's who else I have. Dorothy, Elora, Kiki, Vanessa, Chandra, who else? Daniela, Fiola, Anne, Angela, Patty, and Elizabeth. Okay, so we'll put 2 more minutes on the queue for those of you guys who want to get in. So we're going to start with Dorothy, Elora, and Kiki. What's up, Dorothy? She says, I will post my question in the chat. If I am not live, please do a general spread. Well, I'm pretty sure we saw her. Did I miss your question? Let's see. Let me know, Miss Dorothy, what you would like me to take a look at. You may have said it earlier. I know it was a little late. There we go. Dorothy says, Saturn hits my moon on Tuesday. in August and in January for the final time until 2054. Is now a good time to job search? If so, should I look in tech or academia? What's your rising sign? Like what house is your moon in Pisces? Sati Santi, it's like a 7-year period. You feel it as Saturn's approaching your moon, when it's back and forth on your moon, and then when it retrogrades. Okay, Gemini rising, Saturn's in your 10th house. That's the pro, right? So Saturn does well in the 10th house. When it's coming into conjunction with your moon, right, then this is going to be basically putting the emphasis on, like your money house, right? Because the moon rules your 2nd house. So it's about money. So Saturn delays, it doesn't deny. So it can be about where you're like, okay, I'll take a job if I know that it's going to pay the salary that I need. And being an Aries sun, with that north node hovering around your sun and eclipses around your sun in your whole sign 11th house, also really good time for career. So I see it both ways. So let's see what the cards say. Is there any indication if it should be like tech or, academia? Like what is it looking like for her? All right, so we have got 5 of coins, 4 of swords, page of pentacles. It's interesting because I kind of see like the page being more so kind of connected to, it could be new beginnings. Let me get a confirmation card, 2 of swords. So there seems to be like a sense of being really unsure here, right? Pages can be about, well, I'm just getting into tech or I'm just learning more about that. But it can also be about working with teachers or as an educator and having students and other people. Really, that page of pentacles makes me feel like wherever you're going to get the best offer, wherever you're going to, bring in the most, that's what you're most likely to stick with. Obviously, 5 of pentacles and 4 of swords can be some difficult cards because it's saying like essentially right now you've been feeling like, okay, I'm kind of going through it. Whether that's feeling like it's been difficult finding a job or there's been delays or maybe there's been some upheaval that's been happening for you. Certainly when Saturn hits your 2nd house ruler, you're feeling the effect of being like, I don't have as much cash. Or, I'm feeling like it's time for me to get back to work. Or, there are more expenses. These things can kind of come up. This is in the past though. So, 5 of coins can say, hey, I felt like I'm kind of like out in the cold and I'm not kind of getting what I need from other people. Why am I not getting the responses that I'm looking for? Okay. So you are ruled by Mercury. So you're going to want to see when Mercury is making positive aspects to Saturn. So you'll start to see as the sun and Mercury and, other planets are going into Cancer in June, they will start trining Saturn, okay? And that's also your money house. So just some food for thought. End of June, you might start to really see some shifts. I'm not saying you don't look, you can look. But the more that I think about it, it's like, planets going through your 12th house, there can be this feeling with the 5 of coins coming up in the 4 of swords that's like, I'm trying, but I'm not going to just take anything. I'm not just going to say yes to any job. I'm not willing to give up my, my freedom, or I'm not willing to give up my leisure, or, something that I already have that's a little bit easier to manage for something that may not potentially pay me very well. The 4 of swords is also talking about waiting, that now not being the time to make moves. Pretty soon we're going to see, Mars is going to go into Aries. And when that ingress happens in May, we're going to be feeling like we have more energy and more motivation to kind of get things done. It can talk about that you're kind of in this period over the next 4 weeks where this is what you're going to be doing. The Page of Pentacles is an offer. Okay. So it is saying like, hey, call us back. We want to have an interview. Like, let's talk, or bringing you in and talking to you about, potentially taking a position, but the beginning process of this. And Page of Pentacles means that you're going to want to invest your time or your energy into something that is going to manifest and turn into something that can be lucrative. So if you're not making money on it, or if you don't see the potential for growth or for like immediate gratification when it comes to, having a paycheck, you're not going to do it. And this is definitely also about like investing more into something. So if you're wanting to go into tech, it may mean that you're like, well, I'm investing into a job that's going to require training, and that's going to take time, and you may find somebody who's willing to trade you or train you, especially in that particular field. If that comes up, that's not a bad thing. I just feel like you're going to have to go through the training process before you really start to kind of develop further. I asked for a confirmation card on which one it's going to be. And, the 2 of swords is basically saying you can't make up your mind yet. There needs to be the sense of keeping both options open. And I think the 4 of swords is if you're feeling down where you're at right now, where it's just like, now is not the time. It's crazy that I have I felt that energy as well. All these planets in Pisces, and there have been retrogrades and eclipses. May is going to be a very different month where suddenly people are going to be like, okay, now I'm finally ready to initiate something and start something new. It's kind of looking like over the next 4 weeks, you're going to see that manifest. I would follow up actually with both paths and see what potentially comes up and who's going to be most willing to kind of help pay to either train you or put you in a position where they want you to grow within the company. But literally both of these things could work based off of these two cards. Things will get better. You'll start to notice that there's opportunities that are popping up. And I'm excited to see what happens for you because things are definitely shifting in a very, very big way. All right. So who else do we have here? We have Elora, and then Kiki, and then Vanessa. Let's see. You told me I might hang in at the job until later in the year. Well, you're very welcome, Dorothy. Good luck. Okay, so we've got Elora. And Elora says, reading. I'm a Cancer rising, Aquarius sun, Scorpio moon. What's in store for me for love? What do I need to know about love? All right, let's see what's up. Certainly Cancer rising, Aquarius sun. That's going through a lot of change. Oh, this is the card that I pulled, but this card wanted to pop up. Two of Cups and Temperance. Emotional healing. If you're asking about, well, what's coming up in the love department, obviously like Two of Cups is like something or someone is coming in. This is about a meeting of some sorts. There's somebody saying, hey, let's grab a drink, let's get dinner. Some opportunity that's going to be coming up where you're going to be able to meet somebody. This is the beginning of relationships. Ace of Cups is opening up to that and being like, yes, something new is coming. But Two of Cups is saying it's now about to arrive. You're about to have your opportunity. This card jumped out though. Okay, the Temperance card. And so this also talks about timing. This card is connected to Jupiter. It has connections also to Sagittarius, which can be about healing and like waiting for things to kind of balance out for the right place at the right time. Two of Cups with the Temperance card is basically talking about not rushing the process. So it can mean that it's about meeting somebody and getting to know them. And then being in a situation where you're going back and forth and you're like really enjoying the whole getting to know each other process. You're really enjoying the whole process of like courting each other and like not trying to figure out like the end result or like commitment. It's being really present with being like, I'm really loving getting to meet a new person and kind of like falling in love. So it can be about that for you as well. The other thing that I would think about is like that Temperance card can basically be saying like meeting somebody who can also kind of balance things out for you. And that can be if you're feeling like you don't have a lot of work-life balance, or if you're feeling like you're just constantly focused on one area of your life and you're kind of like, lagging in another area, or there is a sense of not getting what you need. Somebody can come in that can kind of help restore the balance for you and make you realize that, like it is worth working on a relationship, or it is worth, kind of dedicating a little bit of time, because somebody can come in and can actually bring more kind of fulfillment to your life. So that is a really good omen in terms of relationships that are coming in, specifically this card. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Elora. Let's see, Rita. I hope I get in line on time. People always makes me sign up 10 times. Well, Rita, if you're a level 3 member, just let me know your question and we can get you your reading, because you are a level 3. So let me know what your question is. I'll put you on my list. All right, so we've got Kiki. What's up, girl? She says, hey, girl, hey. Hubby and I are going back and forth if we should keep our Washington home and rent it out. We bought it at a super low interest rate and gained a lot of equity, but having renters seems scary. We want to make smart decisions for our future. Thank you so much for your insight. You're amazing. Lots of love. Kiki, well, it sounds like you're moving, so congratulations. Exciting stuff. I hope you guys got the house. So let's take a look. Do they keep their renters? Do they not? What's going to be best for them in terms of like the long-term goals? All right. So confirmation card for this. All right. So you get Knight of Swords, which can be a person. Okay. So a person reaching out, connecting, like bottom line, are you going to have problems renting this place? No, that's not going to be an issue. It may be very sudden and very quick. The Knight of Swords can be about, working with an agent or putting up something or working with a management company and like everything happening very quickly and like it would be taken care of. What I think about for you, I think you're like, if I remember correctly, Aquarius rising, right? And you've got like Gemini and stuff kind of going through your fourth, going into your fifth house, your Scorpio sun. For a Scorpio sun, Pluto going into Aquarius, it's like, okay, I'm going into uncharted territory. How do I handle housing and potential like property stuff? But I think for you, Jupiter going in and out of your fourth house and the square to Saturn is going to be more about, is it smart to keep the second home and like ultimately what is it going to cost me? So I pulled a second card because I'm like, okay, well, so somebody could show up and they could rent the place and it could happen very quickly, but is it a good idea? Well, Eight of Coins is saying, yeah, but you're going to have to put work into it. So it is saying things like, if something gets broken, right, as a landlord, you're going to have to fix it. If your AC craps out or if there was some kind of problem with a pipe or like whatever, like it's more about looking at things and being like, do we have the financial capabilities, or are we willing to invest in, somebody who is going to be managing and taking care of this? Because it is saying there's going to be stuff that is going to need to be maintained in regards to the residents. If you're living out of state, obviously that can be a little tricky. I don't see any problems having renters at all. I think that, Jupiter going through your, going through your fourth house can be a wonderful time to get more involved in property and real estate. I think also Jupiter in the fourth house squaring Saturn, which is going to be in your second house, can kind of indicate you are having to be more conservative with what you're spending because you've got, two homes that you're keeping an eye on, or maybe you've got taxes or insurance or whatever. But it can also mean that you're unwilling to sell a house quite yet because there is this sense of being like, okay, does it make sense to hold on to it in the off chance that we change our mind when Jupiter goes retrograde in the fourth house and we want to go back home, right? So it can be that as well. I would look at when Jupiter comes out of the square with Saturn. So that's going to be sometime, either you'll see the first square that's going to be at the beginning of August. You're going to see the second square that's going to be around Christmas. Those are the two time periods where most likely you're going to make a decision. If this were me, because the Eight of Cups, the Eight of Coins is coming up, it says that knowing that there is going to be stuff that's going to need to be monitored or maintained, you guys are going to have to sit down and really ask yourselves, is it worth paying a management company to handle things? For you to go out of state, most likely this is what you're going to want to do. So if something burns out, if there's a problem, or if you need to kind of deal with collecting rent or whatever, there are management companies who will handle all of that for you. They're going to take a piece of the pie, but it might be worth the investment in knowing that it's going to be handled. It removes you from being directly involved, and also it's going to help cover some of the things that could be kind of like costly and expensive if you were just to kind of go at it on your own, right? So I would really maybe use the Knight of Swords to kind of look around and start looking at management companies and asking them, what are you going to charge? What do you cover? This is what we have. This is what we want to find out. What can we get for the rental of this home? And you're not totally locked in. And if you want to make a sale, like a big change, you could do that at any point closer to, the eclipse in the fall. You could do that at some point next year. But I don't see this being a negative thing if you decide to do it. I just think it's more about orchestrating who's actually going to manage it, so you can actually be at a distance. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Kiki. Good luck with the move. That's exciting stuff. We've got Vanessa, and then Chandra, and then Daniela. What's up, Vanessa? Vanessa says, I have two separate questions. All right. Question 1. My sister has court next month in May for more unsupervised visitation with her children. How is that looking for her? Anything to do, not do? Will this judge be in my sister's favor? So let's take a look. So we have Page of Cups coming up. That's generally a pretty favorable interaction that you would have with somebody. Pages can also be about children, so loving, nurturing, connection with them, harmonious times. If you're asking about, well, is it going to be in her favor? Are they going to be like kinder to her, or are they going to get along a little bit better with her? The answer would be yes, because the Page of Cups is a gentle, kind, caring interaction that you have with another person. And this is also about being able to have more so love, connection with younger people. I think this is also about approaching going to court in a way that is very mellow. Page of Cups is somebody who is soft-spoken, you know, they are not super loud or kind of like out there. They're not super emotional. You know, there can be a sense of them being a little bit more sensitive and compassionate and also receptive of other people. So even though obviously really kind of emotionally intense situation with what's been going on with her and her kids, I think it's about her approaching this with kind of being like open and showing that emotionally, you know, she's really wanting to spend time and kind of connect with her kids and that she needs more of that togetherness, and showing the softer side of her. So if she's given the opportunity to speak in front of the court or to interact with the judge or to give a statement or anything like that, it's about her being like, look, I really miss my kids. And I would, you know, as a mother, I really want to see my kids, and really going at it from that angle and being really honest and speaking from the heart, because that seems to be like the real focus here. But that's a very positive omen in terms of what's going to be happening. And then for question 2, she says, I'd like to ask my supervisor about a shift change. I'd like to shift to an earlier shift. How should I approach her with my reasoning? When would be a good time of month or day to do it? And will she work with me? Well, I believe you're a Cancer rising, right? And so the Mercury retrograde has been in your career zone. The eclipse has been in your career zone. There is this sense of feeling like everything's changing with work, and there can be this feeling of wanting to be a little bit more direct and assertive with things going on at work. For Virgos as well, you know, Pluto's about to retrograde in Aquarius, so that can also be changes, transformations to your schedule and your work, and you're kind of revisiting and revising some of those things. Mars is going to be going into your 10th house pretty soon, so that can be about feeling a little bit more assertive or getting more work done or really kind of standing out at work. So I feel like this is going to be really wonderful for a Cancer rising chart. But let's see what's going to go on with supervisor talking about this shift change. Wow. Double water in this spread. I mean, positive all around, because this is saying people being sympathetic and compassionate and understanding and a little bit more friendly and a team player. King of Cups. So this can be talking about approaching this in a very mature way emotionally and being like, look, here's my reason being for what I've got going on. It could be strictly personal. You know, it could be like, I need to get in earlier. I need to get out earlier. And talk about, you know, either the fact that there are some things going on where you're either having to have responsibilities for your kid or maybe you're helping your family. It's personal though, because the water talks about something that has to do with your emotions, your home, your privacy, or your family. And talk about it from the perspective of being like, because I've got these set responsibilities, this is what's going on. Is it possible to make this change? And come at it from the angle of being like, I want to be here. I want to continue my job. I want to continue to keep, you know, performing well. And I'm trying to find more work-life balance. You know, can you help me? Because likely if you guys, both you and your sister, are approaching some of these topics in this demeanor, you're going to be met with some positive responses. People who are being understanding, compassionate, you know, kind of genuine and willing to kind of work with you. That King of Cups is also talking about like the improvement that this is going to have on your like overall emotional well-being. So I don't know if you're like more so an early riser or a morning person, or if you're saying, you know, I'm really just wanting to do this because I would like to have more time after work with my daughter, or I'd like to have the ability to have more of a social life. There's other things that are going to be benefiting from this. I don't think it's purely because of responsibility. I think it's because you're like, I need to have more balance in my life. Obviously coming into summer too, like I know you've got a daughter, but if she's going to be on summer break and if you're able to change your schedule, this can mean that you're feeling like I have time to go out and like do things and I feel better emotionally. So there's a number of reasons why I think this is going to be beneficial, but come at it from the perspective of, I want to stay here. I want to have more of a work-life balance. You know, this is where I'm coming from. I just want to let you know. And like that way of being vulnerable and letting them in on what's going on with you and showing them that you're trying to be about, you know, solutions and you're being proactive, I think is the key here. And I think you're going to be met with somebody who's going to be sympathetic and understanding for why you want to make the changes. Okay. I hope that's helpful for you, Vanessa. I've got Chandra, Daniela, and Fiorella. So let's see, what does Chandra say? She says, 3 cards, please. I'm a Sag Sun, Cap Moon with a stellium of planets in Capricorn. Aquarius in the first house. Okay, so my question is, what do I need to know currently? What do I need to know currently? Aquarius first house, you just had that full moon in the 10th. And you are getting ready to see A bunch of planets go through your 4th house, going into your 5th house. There's definitely a lot changing either on the home front or with the family, and then shifts into the 5th house can be really great for creativity, for hobbies, for dating. So let's see what the cards say. What does Chandra need to know right now? In this order, we have the Chariot, the 3 of Coins, and the 8 of Wands. I mean, come on, I was saying, like, there's so much action going on the home front right now for all my Aquarius risings. You know, Uranus is your ruler. So seeing Jupiter come in conjunction with Uranus recently, and then we're going to see a whole slew of planets continue to go through the 4th house. The Chariot's coming up. So it's talking about changes emotionally, or changes in home, or changes with family. There can be a sense of feeling more driven to get more done at home or within the family. The Chariot card is also about like listening to your intuition, right? Like he's riding in the Chariot, but if you notice, it's draped with all of like these stars, and this is about using astrology or your intuition or dream interpretation or numerology, like other metaphysical kind of ways of being able to gauge the future to help better kind of direct where you're going. So this can mean that you're learning to listen to your intuition when it comes to handling home, family, and emotional matters. Things may be changing on the home front. Then we have the 3 of Coins. So it's saying that throughout these changes, it's like a team effort. So you're working with other people in the process. So 3 of Coins can be working at work as a team, working with family members as a team to see something through, coming together and like building or creating something. And the 3 of Coins is also about learning how to do your best, I think, through developing the necessary skills and repetition. So this is where we're learning how to become more handy. We're learning how to become more productive through help from other people. It can mean that, you know, you're really focused on, you know, do-it-yourself projects, or, you know, spending time with family, renovating things, you know, finding a new space, that kind of stuff. And it's like a team effort to kind of get this stuff done. And then the 8 of Wands comes up, which is about swift moving action. Very similar to the Chariot. Both of these cards are about being like, okay, figure out where we're going and then let's get going. You know, it's about the pace or the momentum kind of quickening or picking up. Pretty soon, you know, you're going to see, you know, planets start coming into conjunction with Uranus. The Sun will conjunct Uranus. We're going to see Venus conjunct Uranus, Mercury conjunct Uranus. This is going to represent all of these things coming to you. And that can be intuitively, and, you know, you have a feeling about things, and it starts to kind of, you know, develop, and then it helps you make a decision about where you're going, where you're moving, how you're navigating your life. So watch for this feeling of the information coming in, and then this internal knowing of being like, okay, now is the time, or we begin the project now, or we're going to start, you know, looking for the new home now, or we're going to start building something now. And you'll feel this sense of impatience. I think you're going to feel incredibly passionate as well. Like I think about Aquarius rising and how you're going to see, you know, North Node and Mars going through Aries in your 3rd house. Assertiveness, right? Traveling, communication is all going to come up. So that 8 of Wands makes me feel like you're going to start kind of either motivating yourself or motivating other people to get the show on the road with something. So speak out, write, be mindful of your communication, be mindful of what you're thinking about. These are going to influence kind of the series of events that are going to be playing out for the better part of like the next 8 weeks. And if you have a lot that you want to get done in regards to home, family, you know, traveling or whatever, team effort is going to be best. You know, communicate with other people and help encourage other people to help you get these things done. Because, yeah, I think that the more the merrier, and it's going to help you get this done in a way that's going to feel a little less chaotic as well. Okay? Hopefully that's helpful for you, Chandra. We have Daniela, Fiorella, and then Anne. There we go. So Daniela says, thanks. Let's see, did you send your question? I might have missed it. Let me see. Daniela. So I may not be seeing it. So if you have a question, go ahead and send it again for me, because you might send it faster than I can find it. Unless you just want a general reading, let me know. But I'm not seeing anything from you. So if you're here, Daniela, send me your question. I'm gonna take for Fiorella. I know you sent me a question too. If you guys can put that in the memo box, it's really helpful so I don't have to scan through here and make you guys wait. Let's see. I'm not seeing this one either. So if you want to send your question, please. There we go. There's Daniela. So Fiorella, if you can send that for me. Okay. Wanted to know about opening your own business. Okay, cool. Let's take a look. So this is for you, Daniela. She's got questions about opening her own business. So what do the cards say about that? All right, and it was in this order. Queen of Swords, Emperor, Eight of Coins. Well, one thing I can tell you is that if I were asking this question, the two cards that I would want to see would probably be the Emperor and the Eight of Coins. Maybe the 10 of Coins, but you asked about starting your own business. You didn't really ask about how it's going to go, but this is a really great idea. So Queen of Swords talks about channeling the energy of mastering communications and like nurturing ideas, writing, teaching, things pertaining to information, having your voice heard, being seen as somebody who's like successful and intelligent and like independent, right? This can be a card that is about Libra. It can be about Aquarius or Gemini. Oh, just reading what you're saying. I'm an interior designer, Pisces rising, Cap, Sun, Gemini, Moon, Jupiter and Venus in Sag, and Mars in Virgo. Okay, so Pisces rising, right? Jupiter is hanging out in your third house right now, conjunct Uranus. So the idea of, oh, do I start a website? Do I start promoting myself? Do I create social media? What am I doing? Because Jupiter is your traditional ruler. And Jupiter also rules your 10th house of career. Jupiter's moving into Gemini pretty soon in your fourth house. So it's going to be more about you being involved in home and living situations. I love this for you. I think that with Queen of Swords, it's not just about interior design. It's about walking people through your process, showing them how you do what you do, explaining how you create spaces, how you open them up, how you're able to reimagine what they can look like, right? It can also be opening the door for you to get like interviews and to be having people kind of discuss, some things that you've been designing or working on, or maybe people are giving you referrals, or maybe people are giving you reviews and feedback, and like you're able to make it, public because they're talking about what you've been able to achieve. So I think it's got many facets to it. I think of all of the queens, the Queen of, I think, Swords is probably the best for being an entrepreneur. Certainly Queen of Coins is great with business, but that's more somebody who owns the business or kind of like runs the business. Queen of Swords is somebody who is very entrepreneurial, and it is a masculine energy, even though it's a queen. So it's about kind of initiating, going after what you want, and like showing other people what you know. The Emperor card is about being the boss, right? It's about the energy of Mars. And so, being somebody who has a Pisces rising, North Node's going into your second house of money and income. Mars is going into that house. You just had a retrograde and eclipse there. So really everything's about like, how can I generate more? How can I learn how to be more entrepreneurial? How can I be spearheading some of this stuff and like getting it going so I can actually be bringing more in and like showing people my skills? So there is like a want to develop yourself more so further. Great time to be really focusing on a business. I think that the Emperor energy is about showing up and mastering something and like making boss moves. And that means that you're having to kind of make decisions with what's best for you, which can be difficult with Aries in the second house because there is this sense of like being attracted to money that can manifest very quickly. But you're learning in the second house that it's not about immediate gratification. It's about what you're building, right? Because it's like a kind of like an earthly energy. Anyway, Emperor is great for being able to kind of manage your own business. And then the Eight of Coins, which is about working hard, grinding it out, hard work, dedication, repetition, practice making perfect. It may mean that you're creating almost like a like a lookbook, or maybe you are, making a conscious effort to say, I am shooting every single thing that I do, and I'm going to keep doing this. So I'm generating content. So I'm able to put it out there so people can see it. It can mean that you're also focusing on your skills and better developing your skills as a designer, and showing people that, you really know what you're doing, and that there's definitely been a lot of hard work, dedication, and education that's gone into, what it is that you're able to kind of curate or create. This is also, the next card that would come from this would be the Nine of Coins, which would be like a self-made woman, being independent and having luxuries and things that she can afford because she's worked hard for it. So this is saying that it's going to be a grind, and it likely will be something that you're kind of grinding out really for the better part of the next 8 months. But I do think it will be successful for you. And I can tell you, I've seen a lot of people build their businesses when the North Node's going through their second house, or when they're having eclipses in the second house, or when even you're getting ready to have like Saturn go into your second house as well with Neptune. And that's going to be a time where you're going to be like, my career is going to be what I make of it and the decisions I make, and wanting to make money in a way that feels like it's about beauty or art or design. So kind of getting the show on the road is what I've told everybody this year. You guys know me, like I look far out into the future. But when I look at 2025, 2026, Saturn and Neptune going into Aries, more eclipses in Aries, major retrogrades in Aries next spring, it would be a really good idea to make the most of initiating things now with this fresh new solar eclipse energy and Mars, so we're more so prepared for next year. And like independent is the way to go, especially if you've got that Queen of Swords and the Emperor. It's being like, I want to do things my way, Daniela says, such a great confirmation. I've been thinking so much about content and focusing on how to explain my holistic approach to interiors. Love it. Definitely do it. Please do it. I think it's really wonderful. And also it can be about businesses. It can be about showing other people. It's not just about your workspace or your creative space or your home space or your kitchen or your bedroom. You may be able to talk about color theory and opening things up, and maybe like feng shui and like other things that influences businesses and creative spaces or working spaces as well, because these two cards are coming up, right? Hopefully that's helpful. Go get them. Good luck. All right. Did we hear from Fiorella? Is she here? I'll keep waiting. Otherwise, I'll give you a general card. So we have Anne, Angela, and Patty. Let me make sure I got everybody here real quick. You're welcome. You are very welcome. I always love hearing people talk about being like, I want to do my own thing. Yes, do it. Quit the 9 to 5. Stick it to the man. Let's see. It's 7 to 3, 4, 5, 7, 2. Okay. PayPal, I love you, but you drive me crazy. All right. So who else do we have here? Okay, so readings have closed, although I'm sure you guys know that already. Okay, we've got Anne, Angela, and Patty. Anne says, glass of champagne. Well, let's see. Did you have a particular question, Anne, or would you like me to I'll give you a card. I mean, I'll drink your glass of champagne as well. Sure. I will definitely do that. I just want to make sure you didn't ask me anything in particular. But let's throw a card out for Anne and see what the guidance would be from the tarot. Oh, there she is. Let me know if you have a question before I pull anything. Don't forget to smack that like button, you guys. I appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up. Make sure you like the stream. It lets other people know that we're here. That we're out here. We're doing the Astro Lord's work. I put in some astrology stuff. Let's see. Did you send me something? Oh, there, I see it. Sag rising, Cat Moon, first house, third house, your okay. It's always been a beautiful, heart-wrenching letting go, always to trust the unknown. What's ahead? Well, there's that creepy wolf head again. Look at how little those cards are. What is going on here? All right, so let's take a look. So I'm seeing what you got going on. Basically, man, Sag rising. You got Neptune coming into a square with your ascendant right now. So lots of questioning things, communication stuff coming up for you as well. And then you've got a lot of oppositions going on with some of your Virgo stuff. So let's see, what's ahead? Letting go and trusting things. What does she need to know right now? Well, more Neptune things. Let me get a confirmation card for you. Oh, okay. I think like Sagittarius rising and like the Saturn Neptune going through the 4th house is a lot of like reflecting on the past, right? So when you talk about being like, it's heart-wrenching, you know, letting things go, endings, you know, Saturn and Neptune being in your 4th house is a lot of being like, is it always going to be this way? You know, am I always going to feel like I'm having to give something up or I'm losing something? Am I always going to be reminiscing and thinking about the past? You know, 7 of Cups coming up, which is the Neptune energy. It is talking about like kind of getting lost in the emotion or in the mix of things, that you can be kind of feeling like you're getting swallowed up by both what's happened in the past and what's going on currently now. And it can feel very confusing and very draining. Go and learn about Neptune square the ascendant, because it's not just square the ascendant, square the descendant. So it's making it more challenging and difficult when it comes to relating to yourself and also other people. Sounds like though it's happening in your 3rd house, Placidus, because you're a later degree Sag. So it's going to be about how do I communicate and like what's going on with lots of communication with people, and you know, maybe reminiscing and thinking about things that you could have, would have, should have said. Be careful with the 7 of Cups, because this can be a card that talks about kind of being in a situation where you're either thinking about things with your head in the clouds, or you're worrying about things that you don't need to worry about, or there's doubts and stuff coming up that you're kind of like going like, okay, well, what can I hold on to? Like, what is solid in all of this, right? And so you're looking for answers. The confirmation card is the King of Swords, which is basically, this is about you being like, I'm cutting through the fog. I'm getting clarity. I am learning how to communicate more directly. I am learning how to speak up for myself, stand up for myself, being in a situation where I'm not going to be led astray again, or I'm not going to be manipulated again, or I'm not going to be lied to again, and being very clear about your boundaries. So that way you're not feeling like you're losing yourself, or you're losing your home, or you're losing connection with another person. This can also be about asking questions and having clarity and being like, you know, can you explain this to me? Or, you know, like, this is how I'm feeling. How are you feeling? And like really trying to be more, I think, more so better with communication and like kind of getting the point across with other people. Journaling, writing, you know, anything pertaining to self-reflection can be really helpful with Saturn and Neptune going through the 3rd house. It can help you process emotions better. It can also help you remember things better. So if you're feeling like, you know, how was I feeling a month ago? And like, am I progressing? And like, you know, what have I been manifesting and thinking about? You know, let me go back to my journal. Because it's so easy to get lost with the 7 of Cups, and it's so easy to get lost with like a Neptune transit, where it's just like sometimes we just feel so mentally or emotionally overwhelmed that we just want to throw in the towel. But you can actually create a journal and like be writing prompts or like writing notes to yourself. So when you feel yourself kind of slipping or maybe falling back into old patterns, you know, mentally or in terms of communication, you've got something that can help you feel anchored, right? Saturn is there. So it's something that's going to make you feel solid or give you some sense of clarity. This can also be with the King of Swords being like, I'm getting better with meditation, or, you know, I'm pulling a tarot card for myself every day, or I pull a 3-card spread for myself every week, and I have that sense of direction and knowing what I'm going to be focusing on. So you have more sense of concise information that's coming through, so you're not doubting. And what's weird with Pisces is like, it's hard to find stability. It's hard to have clarity. Neptune is fog. But Saturn being there is like, what is the one thing I can do that I can hold on to that's going to give me clarity, that is also going to confirm my intuition? And I would say divination is great. You know, tarot, but it can also be, you know, dream journaling. It could be working with a pendulum. It could be working with astrology. Certainly Pisces is a little bit more abstract. It's not as like sciencey and degrees related as astrology. But it can be channeling, and it can be things relating to tarot, stuff that is going to be a little bit more creative and abstract, right? So I hope that's helpful. Don't get lost in the confusion. Focus on something that's going to help ground you, and that's reaffirming some of the things that you already know, if that makes sense. What's up, Tara? Happy Friday. We've got Angela. Still waiting on Fiorella. Otherwise, I'll pull a card for you, I promise. Angela, and then Patty and Elizabeth. Angela says, hey Candace, I'm a Sagittarius rising, Virgo sun, Leo moon. I'm wondering if the universe has a message for me in general, any particular area of my life that I should be putting into attention. What should I watch for? What should I watch for? Let's take a look. Sag rising, Virgo sun. And you got a Leo moon. Good luck, Gibson. All right, so what should Angela watch for? All right, in this order, we've got Nine of Swords, King of Wands, and the Fool. You know, I wonder, being a Sag rising, Leo moon, a lot of this seems like it's like relieving stress. I know that sounds weird, but that makes sense, especially with the Nine of Swords coming up. Are you planning a trip? Are you traveling? Are you going somewhere? Is there this sense of feeling like you're wanting to break free from routine? I say this because of your cards, but like the more that I think about the Sag rising horoscope also, just Jupiter, Uranus in the 6th, changing your habits, finding more time for pleasure, finding more time for leisure, making changes to your health habits and routine. And then I think about, you know, eclipses and stuff in your 5th house, prioritizing pleasure, prioritizing fun, creativity, cutting loose, going somewhere, doing something. Very much the Fool card. Like kind of crazy energies for Sag risings. I'm seeing a lot of conflicting stuff where everything wants you guys to have better health and new jobs and better habits and having more fun and having romance. Saturn and Neptune's kind of a downer, you know, in your 4th house, feeling like you're stuck at home. So that Nine of Swords is coming up with the past position. So it can be saying kind of like going through some anxiety, some stress, feeling like you're kind of at a loss with some things that you're having to come to terms with that are ending. Obviously, Saturn and Neptune's in your 4th house. 4th house is about endings. It's about completions. So realizing that certain situations are coming to an end, you know, it might be family related. It might be home related. It may be that there's just some heavy emotions and feelings that are kind of coming up for you. And there is this sense with the Nine of Swords of being like, I can allow this to take over, or I can make the conscious decision to go, I have no control over this. It can be processing grief as well. And there can be like a release that can come with the Nine of Swords. This is in the past position though. So the King of Wands and the Fool card coming up is like bright, airy, fiery, exciting. It's forward momentum. And the King of Wands can be talking about tapping into that Sagittarius or that fire energy. It can also be talking about another fire sign like an Aries, a Leo, or a Sag. King of Wands can be about being like, I am going to go out and have fun and making that my goal. And I could really see that with the eclipses and the energy in your 5th house. It may be a time where you're also more likely to want to kind of connect with a partnership and be spending time with another person and somebody who can kind of be helping initiate having more playtime. Then I look at like the Fool card coming up. And so that can be saying like taking chances, going somewhere, doing things that you wouldn't typically do. The Fool card can basically be about, you know, getting outside of your comfort zone and like embracing the unknown. And so maybe this is about like getting out of old patterns and being like, okay, whatever I've been doing hasn't been working. So clearly I have to do something different. So what can I do that's new, that's going to get me outside of, you know, some of these patterns? It can be friends. It can be relationships that come in that help you do it. It can also mean that you're really focusing on new ways of creating and expressing yourself. Like the eclipses and everything in your 5th house can be about children and dating, sure, but it's about the inner child. Aries is inherently selfish. So Aries in the 5th house is like, what makes me happy? You know, what do I want to do? Where am I going? It's less about other people. So there can be this sense of realizing that some of the stuff that's been coming up is because you've been putting your needs on back burner, or you've been, you know, making other people a priority, or there has been a sense of getting stuck in the past. And now you're like, no, what is going to make me happy? These are the things that I need to do. And that's going to kind of be your goal, right? Look for somebody who might be a fire sign. It's kind of like wild and crazy and wants to have a little bit of fun and do some stuff that's like a little bit more spontaneous. And whether that's like traveling or just things that are going to be about, you know, extracurriculars on your off time, that can be something that can really kind of liven things up for you and create a little bit more opportunity for you to diversify something about your schedule. Create space. I think with Jupiter, Uranus in your 6th, create space for, you know, there to be opportunities to go and do things spontaneously where you don't feel like all of your time is kind of being scheduled and like monopolized. So you're creating room for life to intervene and for you to have some chance opportunities to meet people and have some fun. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Angela. I've got Patty and then Elizabeth. What's up, Patty? Let's see. All right, so Miss Grace. Cancer Sun, 10th house Scorpio Moon, Libra rising, Mercury and Venus in Leo as well. All these questions are about career. I can't resist asking about mine. I started a new job a little over a month ago, and the transition has been challenging to say the least. I have a lot of previous knowledge, what does that say? From bringing with me from my former job, and lots of suggestions and ideas that I can help the company, but I feel like I'm constantly being met with resistance. Please do a 3-card reading and let me know if you see any improvement in the relative near future when it comes to this job, or if this will be a never-ending battle. One phone call and I have a job back at my previous company. Would it be better if I cut ties with the new company and go back? All right, let's take a look. Obviously, you know, just from one Libra rising to another, Patty, one thing I would say just to take into consideration is like, you know, we have been in Mercury retrograde. It has been more difficult to relate to other people. Mercury can quite literally be about communications, especially with that connection to like Virgo with coworkers. The retrograde in your 7th house really represents where other people aren't communicating very efficiently. Some of the coworker issues can also be Saturn that's in your 6th house, where you deal with people who are not responsible. They don't always follow up on things. They don't, you know, follow timelines. There is a sense of cleaning up messes after other people, blah, 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 right? So you're going to want to look at what's going on with your natal moon. Obviously, you say you're a Scorpio moon. So what's happening with your moon? Is Saturn trining it? Is Uranus opposing it? Is Jupiter opposing it? Those oppositions to your moon, or even Pluto square your moon, will impact your career. Some food for thought. At the end of the year, Mars will retrograde from Leo into Cancer. So Libra risings will have the opportunity to make some changes on the job front if that's something that you want to do, where you could go back. So that's possible. So let's see what the cards say. Like, does she stay? Will it get better? Are they going to be receptive of things? You know, should she call the old job back and be like, hey, I'm returning? Let's see. These are the cards that you get. Okay. Personally, between the eyes, just directly, you know, see how things go between now and June. All right. Not very long. We're coming to the end of April here. I say that because the Lovers is coming up. It's a timing card. So that's talking about like this or that. Do I want this or that? And it still says, even when you get to that time, you're going to be reevaluating and asking yourself, you know, do I want to go back to that old job? Sometimes it's not this or it's that. Sometimes it's C, option C. It could be another job completely. Could you go back? Yeah. You know, I just say this to be honest. I'm not entirely optimistic about the job that you're at. And I don't think it has anything to do with your communication or what, you know, what you're bringing to the table or what recommendations you're making. It has to do with the fact that the 7 of Coins and the 7 of Swords is coming up. 7 of Coins can be cautious when it comes to making sweeping changes. It can also mean like, let's play it safe, wanting to plant seeds and start slowly. There can also be some challenges and some delays or some false starts or some issues revolving around actually investing in the things that need to make change. So if you're like, we need to put more money into this department, or we need to spend money on advertising, or we need to be, you know, hiring another assistant, you know, they may look at you and be like, I don't know. It's like, man, we don't want to spring for that, or we don't have the budget for that. Like there can be a sense of them wanting change, but not wanting to actually physically or financially support making those changes. Does that make sense? And so this can be you standing around being like, well, I can only do so much, you know, unless I get some support here. Like we can see what we can do, but unless you guys are willing to kind of work with me, you know, you may not see things bloom or blossom as much as you would like them to. 7 of Swords in the current position is like not trusting. And this isn't me saying you can't trust them. It's me saying like there can be a sense of them not trusting the process. Or if they're saying to you, yeah, go and manage and do this and make your recommendations. And you're like, I think we need to do this, 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 and this. And this is what's going to work. And they're like, I don't know if that's a good idea. Why did they hire you? You know, clearly they brought you in to be somebody who's going to be directing in some capacity. But if they're wanting results, they have to be open and receptive to hearing some of this stuff. You know, Jupiter rules communication. So for a Libra rising, Jupiter going into your 9th house means you're going to know a lot about marketing and expansion and relations and, you know, connecting with people and promoting things and kind of getting, you know, the word out about your company or your product or your website. And it's going to square Saturn. So what you're going to see is that there's either going to be some scheduling hangups between traveling and work, or you're going to see that there's going to be some people who are going to be like, yeah, we're not willing to do that work, or we're not as optimistic, or like, we don't know if we're capable. And you're going to be like, but this is what it could be. And like, you're still going to be dealing with like incompetent people, as much as I hate to say that. So there is this sense with the 7 of Swords of like still dealing with people who like are not really trusting the process, you know? The Lover's card does talk about your options. You know, this is the fork in the road. That's like, do I want this or do I want that? And really, I kind of feel like this is going to be more so around Gemini season. We're going to see a new moon in Gemini that's really great for Libras, Libra rising, because Venus will be involved. And there's going to be a cazimi with that new moon in June, somewhere around mid-June. And what's interesting is that it's going to square Saturn, okay? So yes, it's a very sweet new moon, like Mercury in its domicile, like all this stuff, but it all squares Saturn, which means there's going to be something that's going to happen where you're going to be like, there's this amazing opportunity, let's do this thing. And then people are going to be like, yeah, I don't know about that. And that may be the turning point where you're like, see you later. Definitely watch what's going on with like trines and aspects to your moon, you know, certainly like June going into July. When we're in Cancer season, when planets are moving through Cancer and we're starting to see trines to Saturn and also trines to your sun, I really feel like I would give it about that long, trines to your moon. I'd give it that long, right? June, before you see some of these things manifest and then you can make a move. But I think at the end of the day, do you have security there? Yeah, you could go back. But I don't think it's A or B, because the Lover's card can represent, there's another option that may present itself as well. So keep in mind that, you know, Mars going retrograde in your 10th house at the end of this year, going into the beginning of next year, still could be a little bit of like flippy floppy, you know, with work. It's like, okay, well now I want to make another change, you know. And I really like that Jupiter is trining Pluto. Like, would you be open to getting into consulting? I mean, you're going to have so many transits next year that like you could do what you're doing on a contractual basis possibly, or, you know, you could be taking on clients where you're working with people on a case-by-case basis, you know, if that's something you wanted to do. But Jupiter trine Pluto in your 5th house would be worth looking into whether or not you could be doing some work as consulting. Just some food for thought. But could you go back? Yeah, I wouldn't waste my time much longer than June with this job personally. So good luck. Casting pearls before swine, you know, it's like they want solutions, you're giving them solutions, but they don't want to pay for it. All right, so we have Elizabeth, Haley, and Rita. And still haven't heard from Fiorella. So let me just throw that in there because she's probably watching this. She's like, where's my reading? Okay, so this is for you, Fiorella. We are doing a general reading. One card for her. And the card that I get for you is the Knight of Wands. Magic crystal moon cycles. Look at that, guys. Crystal balls. Knight of Wands. So the Knight of Wands is talking about action, motivation, messages, things moving very quickly. This is the element of fire. I'm thinking this is like connected to the Mars transit that's coming up. So look at your chart, look at where Aries is. Mars is going in there pretty soon. This is going to be some kind of action taking place. But this can also be about Aries, Leos, or Sagittariuses. Knight of Wands can also be kind of passionate energy. So it can be opportunities for connection, creativity, traveling, new entrepreneurial opportunities that can come up here. And Knights are usually dedicated to their cause. So this kind of coming up can talk about some new exciting news showing up. You may be feeling more physically active. You might be feeling more like you want to take some kind of action with something. It can be where a fire sign is popping in and bringing you some kind of information and you're feeling more excited, invigorated, willing to kind of get the show on the road and get something going. Oh, there she is. Hello. I did not see your question. So hopefully that gives you some insight on what your question was. Let me know if you need me to go a little bit more in depth into this. It's okay. Sorry, I was in class. My question is sent earlier, but if there's any love for me in 2024. So watch for fire signs. Watch for the fire months too, by the way. So we're leaving Aries, but this can be talking about something that can be happening in July or August. This can also be talking about happening in November going into December. If you're looking for excitement, sexy, connection, fun, something that's exciting, and you're like, where is this going? I want more of this, then this is a great card. But Knights, you know, they're dedicated to their cause. They can kind of rush in and they can rush out. This isn't saying it's anything bad. Let me look at the bottom card, Four of Swords. It's about being present with like that excitement of getting to know somebody and some kind of like thrill and like the rush of that connection. But not having any expectations in terms of where it's going to go. So it does look like it's possible for you to connect with somebody. Look for fire signs or within the fire months to see something like that manifest. Knight of Wands can definitely be like, that's like a hookup card. You know, that can be somebody who's like you're connecting with in a physical way. And it can be fun and exciting, but it's not necessarily screaming, oh, love of your life. Like this is somebody who you're going to be like settling down and committing with right away. It's going to be more about passion and that connection and things that you're going out and kind of doing together, right? Hopefully that's helpful for you. Usually that Knight always comes through. Trust me, he will come through. All right, we have Elizabeth and then Haley and Rita. Elizabeth says, can I get a 3-card general reading? Sure, let's do it. So this will be for you, Elizabeth. Here is your 3-card general reading. All right, so it'll be in this order. Ooh, I like these cards. There's like almost like some kind of like dream team situation that's kind of setting up for you, Elizabeth. The Magician card, the 3 of Cups, and the World. So we've got 2 major Arcana cards. The Magician talks about as above, so below. So it's about manifestation, wishing for something, bringing something into physical existence. This is talking about working with what you've got, taking all of what's in front of you and turning it into something that can be extremely abundant and very fortuitous. With the Magician card, you know, you've got the Cups for emotions, you've got the Wands for creativity, you've got the Swords for intellect, you've got the Coins for money. So there's this sense of sitting with a situation and being like, what kind of a cake am I going to bake? Or what am I going to create? Or what am I bringing together? It can be a time where you're very focused on, like I said, manifestation and like bringing something into fruition. It can also be about raising your vibes and being in a situation where you're very much focused on, like feeling like good things are coming or reminding yourself of what's coming or what you've been working towards. It can be really, really powerful for like doing like mantras and manifestations regularly, because the Magician says, if I can think about it, if I can dream it, I can kind of bring it down and ground it out in this dimension. So really strong manifestational energies right now. 3 of Cups. Celebrations, parties, friends, gatherings, support from 2 or 3 other people. This can also be about good news coming. This can be basically saying, you know, you've been really fixating on something positive coming together, some kind of union, some kind of connection maybe with other people or with a partnership, and that likely you are going to see this happen. 3 of Cups can also be talking about like when you're on the same, I guess, like emotional frequency or vibration as another person, that like attracts like. So if you're like, oh, I'm wanting to find a new job and, you know, somebody who is, you know, wanting to appreciate me for my skills and what I bring to the table, it's like, bing, all of a sudden there's somebody who you're an ad for something you end up seeing that's like for a job application. And it's like, it's literally reading out all the things that you want. You're getting into the frequency of wanting to attract somebody else who's on your wavelength. And that can be friends, relationships, it can be partnerships, it can be clients. So it's about really raising that bar of being like, good things are happening to me, doors are opening, everything's working. And then you're going to find that there's just going to be this string of some really positive things that are going to happen more or less over the next 3 weeks, which makes sense. I think, you know, May has some of the best astrology of the year. Really sweet conjunctions to Jupiter, you know, sextiles to Neptune where dreams become reality. And yeah, we're going to see some pretty wild Venus stuff going on right around the time of the full moon in this next month. The World card talks about completions. So completing things that are worth celebrating. Graduations, leveling up, commitments, big like life celebrations. Like the World card is basically like pass and go and collecting $200, right? When you play Monopoly, it's okay, I've passed this, now on to the next phase. And the World card is about a graduation and a celebration of what you've learned and finally overcoming old karmic patterns. So you might be graduating in a sense of being like, I'm not going back to those old relationships, or I'm finally making better decisions, or I've kind of let go of old habits, and celebrating the fact that you're actually making forward motion. And when the World card comes up, because it is, you know, kind of like the end and also the beginning, the next card is then the Fool. So then you're off to like the next thing. So it can represent finally completing these kind of karmic cycles, moving on to something new, and like there's brand new, fresh lessons and energies that are going to be coming up for you pretty soon. But I really like this as calling everything in that you're kind of manifesting right now, and other people who are also kind of celebrating with you or supporting you as you're going through these like really big kind of like phases. Wonderful cards. These are some of the better cards in the deck. So I'm wondering what that big celebration might be. I'm wondering what you're completing, or like what good things are manifesting for you. You'll have to come back and let us know. So we've got Haley, who I'm sure asked her question earlier. I think I saw it. And then we'll have Rita. Let's see. Haley says, I'd like to see what my cards say about my personal relationships, and more so with my mom. Okay. All right. So let's take a look for Haley. What does her personal relationship say in relation to her mom? Can we get some insight on that? Is there anything we need to know? Haley says, I'm a Cap rising, Leo sun, Cancer moon. So that's an interesting combination, considering, you know, for Leos, you just had like that full moon in Scorpio, which is like home and family stuff. Cap rising, eclipses happening in a retrograde in your 4th house, reassessment and like your relationship to family and like where you stand with that. And then the Cancer moon, you've got all of that stuff that's happening 10th house to your moon. So you can feel like it's your responsibility to go through like the family stuff, you know. Be more assertive when it comes to relationships with family and home and living situations. So a little bit of a combination of all the three there. Definitely when you're dealing with like 4th house stuff, there's a lot of like dealing with the past, you know? So here's what I've got. The Hermit card, the 6 of coins, and the Page of Swords. These are not negative cards. They're pretty neutral, to be honest with you, okay? But intuitively, I kind of feel inclined to tell you that this is a time that, to me, seems like a little bit of like wait and see. And I don't know if this is like you're making changes in how you're communicating and relating to family members or with your mom. But there is a wait and see aspect. It's kind of like, I'm going to see what this person does with this. You know, I'm going to assert my boundaries, or I'm going to make myself clear, or I'm going to speak my piece. And then I'm going to give them the space to see what they're going to do with it, to see if they're going to meet me halfway, right? So this is more about watching and waiting than it is about needing to take some kind of action. Likely, whether it's miscommunications with family, changes with home, things going on with your mom, anything like that, you know, trying to rehash or deal with the past, all of that stuff can be coming up for you right now. So it's pretty expected. But the Hermit card is saying, like, I'm really turning inward and reevaluating my truth. And this moment of like self-awareness or realization, or, you know, coming to terms with something and like wanting to highlight something and like realizing that it could have been something that you needed to heal, or it could have been something that, you know, you weren't aware of, or something that's now coming up that you're wanting to shine a light on. The 6 of coins does talk about give and take. So it is about balance. So it can mean that if both parties are showing up to the relationship and they're doing their part, and they're also equally, you know, working on fixing the problems or communicating better or being able to kind of connect, there can be balance. There can be a sense of both of you guys actually being able to better the relationship. It is possible, but it's give and take, right? So when we see in this picture, you know, there's 2 people that are like hungry and they're asking for food in the 5 of coins, and then the 6 of coins is like, yes, here, I'll help you. You know, I'll give you what you need. And it's about balance. So it's going to talk about time periods where, you know, there may be a feeling of like somebody who's less capable of showing up and like being an active participant in the relationship, or not capable of doing more, or somebody who's not taking responsibility for stuff. And you're going to have to weigh that stuff out and really ask yourself, is it worth this exchange? Is what I'm putting into it, you know, equal to what I'm getting out of it? Is this fair? Is it balanced? Am I giving too much? Is somebody taking too much? So think about that. It does talk about like a 6-month working period. So there can be a sense between now and at least the fall where, you're reassessing and asking yourself if there is better balance in the relationship. The Page of Swords is coming up. So it does talk about finding new ways and methods of communicating. And sometimes Page of Swords can be like, look, don't call me, I'll call you. Sometimes it can also mean that you would feel more comfortable in communicating, less frequently, or with some distance, or with a therapist, or with an email, or with a text message. And you're learning new ways of being able to communicate with each other. Page of Swords can be kind of difficult though, because you've got like a little kid running around with a sword. So that can be a dangerous thing if people are saying things that they're not taking responsibility for, or if they're saying things they can't take back, or if they're communicating in like a, immature or kind of like childlike way. But at the same time, I could see this in the future position of being like, I'm going to try to find new ways to communicate and see if we can kind of work through issues. And also this is going to be about exploring how to better communicate with each other and what each other need, and like also learning to kind of like listen to one another. So for me, if stuff's coming up that you're feeling like you need to address it. And give each other the opportunity to work on the relationship and hash some of this stuff out, because it may teach you some really valuable lessons in communication and help you actually grow closer to each other, right? But yeah, watch and learn is what I would say. Watch and learn. Say what you have to say, and then give other people the opportunity to step up, right? You're very welcome. She says, I'm the black sheep. Thanks for taking your time and helping me. Of course. Part of that's like the Hermit card. It's about being like, I'm going to say something, but if I'm not getting what I need, I'm not going to take it personally. You do you, All right, so we've got Rita, and she's my last one. Rita says, 3 cards, please. I'm considering a job offer in the city I'm living in. I'm not sure about it. I'd like to bring more growth and money, but it doesn't seem very interesting. There's another job that seems more aligned with what I'd like to do. The thing is relocation would depend on a personal matter aligning, and this week the situation broke down in quite a bad way. I ended up hurt and confused. Now I feel like I can pursue this job. Moving back would put me in an awkward situation and possibly make it more difficult for me to move on from the personal situation. Could the first job be more interesting than I'm thinking? Should I reach out and try to get some closure from the personal issue, or should I just let it all go, including the job? Gemini Ascendant, Pisces Sun, and Scorpio Moon. Okay, so let's take a look. Does she take the new job? Does she move forward with this other opportunity? It seems like there's like a relocation thing that might be connected to another person, but because that other personal thing isn't really working, she's like completely unsure about everything. I will tell you, as a Gemini rising, part of what you're going to be seeing with Jupiter going into your first house this year is going to be like going back and forth in relationships, because relationships rule your 7th, and it's going to square Saturn. So it's going to be more about back and forth with relationships and how it's being impacted based off of where or how you're working. It's also probably going to manifest as like this feeling of needing to get more so in alignment with the relationship with yourself and making decisions based off of your career and not on relationships. Does that make sense? We'll see you soon. Thanks, Enchanted. So let's see what the cards say about this. Okay, so I'm going to ask more about the first job offer in the city that you're not sure about. Bring more growth and money, but it's not interesting. There's the Hermit card again. It's kind of saying you already know the answer. And then there's another job that it's the city where you lived before. It's more aligned with what you want, and the real location thing and the personal thing. Like, what is that looking like? Okay, King of Swords. What is the outcome for all of this? Page of Wands. So, I mean, like, look, here's the deal. It sounds like you know that even though this is a good opportunity, the Hermit card, that there is some sense of being like, it's going to get boring, or like, I know that it's not going to be very entertaining, or there is a sense of me just knowing it's not for me. Could you go out for the job and probably get the job? Yeah, probably, because the Hermit card is like somebody who is mature and capable and reliable, and like, I don't think you'd have a problem getting it. But I think in your heart of hearts, you know, with that Hermit card coming up, it's highlighting with the Lantern, like, it's not going to be fulfilling. Then when we look at the other job that seems more interesting, I mean, King of Swords, you know, that is saying you could make a conscious decision that's more with your head, not with your heart, that's like, oh, my interests are in this. You know, I really like the idea of this job. It interests me. It can be extremely challenging. It can be something that can also really help you grow within your career. It can help improve your communication. It can give you opportunities for travel, better connections with people, and it would be something that I think you would do very well in. I tell you to make this decision with your head and not your heart, because that seems to be like something that you would really love to do. Yes, okay, you'd have to move, and maybe it's complicated because you have some kind of past history with somebody and you're like, do I want to be there and take this job and like deal with that person? But the cards are saying, make a decision with your head, not with your heart. You can make the conscious decision to potentially go for the job and go back and tell yourself, I'm going back for this job. It has nothing to do with this person, it's the job. When I asked what's going to happen, I got the Page of Wands, which is saying like you're going to take a chance and you're going to do something that's outside of what you would typically do. This can also say that you're approaching this connection with this other person or this like relationship thing, and you're possibly going to be like, okay, can we start over? You know, can we have much more of like a friendly kind of connection? Can we remove any pressure from the equation? You know, and not be looking at this like you need to have conversations going, well, I'll only come back and take this job if we live together, or I'll only come back if we're going to be together. It has nothing to do with the relationship. Coming back is primarily because of the job. And believe it or not, the Page of Wands can lighten things up. So it can mean approaching this, you know, connection with this other person in a new way. It can mean, you know, can we not put pressure on the relationship? Can we hang out? Can we talk? Can we be friendly? And see if there's potential for that to grow. And if not, it's also about entertaining the idea that there are other potential connections or there are other opportunities for you. Personally, I feel like this is a good move, or at least considering it and following up with, you know, possibly doing, you know, more steps towards the interview process and talking to them and seeing if this is something you could consider doing. Certainly being a Gemini, you know, Mercury going retrograde in Virgo, you're going to see this at the end of the beginning of August. And then Jupiter's going to be in your first house. So it says that you may consider moving and going back to a place somewhere around August time. So that would be the time frame that I would kind of watch. And then I think it's going to be in like September, then Jupiter starts retrograding in your sign. So that could also be an indication that you're getting ready to move. So a lot of this is about, you know, just shifting your perspective and how you kind of look at this. If it's the right job and if you're willing to make the move, don't make it be about the relationship. Make it more be about potentially where this job can take you. And I would follow up with the interview process, or kind of get a little bit more information into this, because I feel like you would perform very well with the interview and they'd be really impressed with what you'd have to say. And I think you'd have a lot of really great ideas. And I also really think that this would be challenging for you in all of the best ways. It's really going to help you develop skills that can be really beneficial for your career moving forward. Okay. So there it is. You know, try to line up the thing with the connection with that other person. Because it is possible that you guys can have a little bit of like a restart and not put so much pressure on that dynamic, you know? So I hope that that's helpful for you, Rita. Keep me updated. Let me know what happens if you end up going through with that and maybe relocating. If all things go well, fingers crossed, no whammies, I will be live next Friday. I'm going to be at a different location for the next month, so hopefully the internet's good. But we will be planning on doing the readings next month. Next month. It'll be next month in May, but it'll be next week on Friday. We're here 5:00 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll post the link in the community tab for the astrology readings next Friday. If you guys haven't already, please like the stream. Make sure you're subscribed. We are here every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, giving you guys what's going on in the cosmos. We've got horoscopes, new moons, full moons, and we're teaching astrology throughout the whole process. You guys are so awesome. You are helping me get closer and closer to my goal of hitting 50,000 subscribers this year. Sharing is caring. Please share this out and join me next week if you guys want. I teach tarot. I teach astrology. I also have all kinds of personalized astrology calendars, and I take clients one-on-one. So if you guys want to check out my work, click the link below, beyondtheveiltarot.com. You can see my schedule and all of my offerings there. Sign up for my newsletter while you're there. I will not spam you, I promise. I'll just send you information about new courses and workshops or lectures that I have coming later this year. Thanks for hanging out with me on Friday. I'll catch you guys all back here next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.